Well, the ripple effects of the Maxx Crosby situation really permeating throughout the course of the NFL. Jane Slater with us right now. And Jane, we heard from Cam Wolfe in the last hour, and he had told us that the Buffalo Bills, before the trade went down, that now has not going to happen, the Bills had some interest in Crosby. I know you had been reporting that the Dallas Cowboys also had some interest, but weren't willing to go up to that 2 first-round price tag. Where are things at in terms of the level of interest that they have in Crosby?
I discussed this on Sunday night and throughout the week. The Cowboys said that they were interested in Maxx Crosby, and they had talked about a number of things, but they weren't willing to part with their ones. So when this information was revealed about the physical and Maxx Crosby being back on the market, my initial question was, okay, now it doesn't seem likely that Dr. Cooper could necessarily share that information with the Cowboys. But the fact that Dr. Cooper consulted and the Ravens walked away, you find yourself wondering if that is what gave the Cowboys some pause here. And I would also, I was on the radio this morning talking to the guys at 105.3 The Fan. If they did a physical here in Dallas, gave up 2 once, and they were concerned about where he was in his recovery, would the fan base have been okay with that? I think the issue right now is, as one GM described it to me, he was never going to, quote unquote, pass it. They knew where his recovery was going to be, and it was going to take some time. But if there is some concern because it's so early about what that meniscus looks like, and as even Schefter alluded to in talking to the doctor who actually did the surgery about the stress on the cartilage and the stress on that bone, maybe the Cowboys are in a wait-and-see approach. Hey, we like Maxx Crosby, but maybe we need to see him further in his recovery before we make a play here again. And then I think maybe a couple of other teams will do that. And as Las Vegas has come out and said, they're not coming down from the value. So maybe they're comfortable with what they've got, especially with the 2 linebackers right now. And if there are no takers, I could see the Cowboys potentially getting back in the market. But that Dr. Cooper piece is very interesting to me, Mike.
Yeah, look, it's definitely fascinating. I appreciate you sharing that. But I do think about what the Cowboys have done so far this offseason. And there have been some moves made. But if there is a pivot here, Jane, and we talk about strengthening that defensive unit, we know maybe the asking price not exactly where they want to go with Crosby. Hendrickson not available. What's the next move here?
Well, what they've got right now is they feel like they're good with Rashawn Gary. And, this is a guy that's going to help them, that has known their pass rushing specialists, Brandon Tucker, that they just brought on. He, of course, knows Christian Parker. And then I was just told that Tyrus Wheat, he's a former Lions defensive end, that they are signing him to a 1-year deal. So they've got a little bit of depth there at the defensive end. That's just coming from a source right now. And then they've also tried to, identify the safety position. They went out and they got Jalen Thompson here, the Arizona safety. They like his versatility in this multi-front. And then there have been talks about Osa Odighizuwa being on the trade block right now. We'll see where that one shakes out. This is a very team-friendly deal that they could have restructured. They haven't. And in this new 3-4 defense, he essentially finds himself the odd man guy out. Remember, they went out and they got the nose tackle yesterday from UCLA, who incidentally did play with Osa. He can play 4-eye too. So maybe they acquire some picks with the Osa deal. My point is they're not done yet, Mike Yam. I know the fans are like, give me a bigger name. We want bigger names. They're still selectively, aggressively moving here. Where they always get themselves in trouble is when they say they're going to break the bank. And the Cowboys hold on to that. It's like telling your kids, we're going to McDonald's, and you don't do it by 6 o'clock that night. They're going to let you know until you take them to McDonald's.
Yeah, it was always a big thing for me, getting that little toy in the kids' meal. Absolutely. Back in the day. All of us, I know, kind of co-sign on all of that stuff. We'll figure out if the Dallas Cowboys are...
They're examining him on Tuesday, and the Raiders then announcing it, putting it on the Ravens, saying, hey, they backed out of the deal. So that deal has fallen apart. The Ravens then this morning, well, really last night, but this morning completed it, pivoted to Trey Hendrickson, the veteran defensive end, who I just mentioned as a possibility for the Colts. Colts were one of the teams in it. The Philadelphia Eagles as well. A bunch of teams were in it. But a mystery team emerged on Tuesday afternoon, and everybody was wondering who that mystery team is. Once the Maxx Crosby trade fell through, everybody realized that it was going to be Trey Hendrickson, to the Baltimore Ravens on a 4-year deal worth close to $30 million. I can get up to $30 million with all the incentives included, but close to $30 million. Hendrickson was hoping to be in the 30s. The market bore out that it was not going to be that. It was going to be in the 20s. The Ravens got at least close to that 30 number, having been backed against the wall because of this Maxx Crosby trade that fell through there. So Hendrickson on his way to Baltimore. Crosby back in Vegas. We shall see what becomes of his short and long-term future, Tom.
It is wild to think that on Friday night, we thought that the story of the NFL offseason was going to be the Ravens going out of character and sending 2 first-round draft picks to the Raiders for Maxx Crosby. Now the story of the offseason might be the Ravens trading Maxx Crosby for Trey Hendrickson and 2 first-round picks. That's their doctors and other doctors they consulted had evaluated that knee. So it all leads to now the Raiders having spent boatloads of money in free agency on all deals. Remember, Yam cannot be official until 4 p.m. Eastern time today. They now have Maxx Crosby and his $30 million contract coming back onto the books. There may be some adjustments in terms of how they were planning to budget here as we move forward. And the Maxx Crosby saga, as we have really said throughout at every single turn, not over just yet.
No, it is going to be the gift that keeps on giving for us here at NFL Network. I know you guys will continue to give us all the details as it hits your cell phones, because I know you guys have been working those things like madmen out there, but it is a significant move here. We'll find out what the Raiders are going to look like over the next couple of weeks and months. Meanwhile, I actually looked down at my phone trying to figure out, no,